Welcome everyone to episode 25 of Popcorn Peeps, the podcast in which we venture through the Hollywood Reporter's top 100 films of all time and give our thoughts along the way. This episode is dedicated to the 2005 romance drama Brokeback Mountain, directed by Ang Lee, starring Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal. This film is based on the 1997 short story of the same name written by Annie Proulx. The film itself is a multi-Academy Award-winning film and was indoctrinated into the U.S. Library of Congress's National Film Registry for its cultural importance. Today I am joined by cowgirl extraordinaire Sara Alexander.
Howdy, Jordan.
10-gallon hat enthusiast Chris McMullen.
I can't quit you.
And the best damn rodeo clown this side of the Mississippi, Craig Moore. Yee-hoo! Can't believe we made it to 25 episodes, guys. What is your first impression of Brokeback Mountain?
I forgot how talented Heath Ledger was. I haven't obviously seen him in anything for quite some time, so watching this reminded you of...
Since he killed himself with drugs?
Yeah, he just slipped off my mind. His movies aren't ones that I would go back to regularly, and so, yeah, watching this, you're like, holy shit, he was really talented, and it was such a shame.
I've only ever seen him in The Dark Knight, so this was a nice way to see more of his work. I think he did a great job in this, as well as the great job he did in Dark Knight.
Powerful performances from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
The movie tells a story of, these two guys kind of through their whole lives. They start really young. They're like in their 40s towards the end. And it's a real sad, beautiful, emotional movie.
It's interesting because you don't get your happy ending here. A lot of these films, like Hollywood in general, happy endings around, you conquer the bad guy, but this one, society and life and just the shit that they have to deal with conquers them, and it's really powerful and it's really refreshing in a way to see that. As a whole, I really enjoyed the film. Like, the acting is top-notch, as Chris said. The characters felt really genuine, and the passage of time, I think, is why this movie stuck with me so much. It's not like you get to see them in one spot of their life, how they behave. You get to see them throughout decades, and so you get to see them grow and evolve. And maybe it's a little bit cheating because it's really easy to get character development when you can just skip ahead 4 years and change the personality a little bit, but I'm not going to count it as cheating. It felt akin to one of my favorite movies, Machia, which follows like this immortal woman as everyone around her in society changes. So it was really refreshing to see that happen, and in a much better way than it happened in Bonnie and Clyde. The passage of time was so seamless, it was so good, it never felt jarring, and I feel like if it ever did feel jarring, it was intentional, but they did little subtle things to help keep you in the loop, like, oh, the facial hair is slightly changed, or the hair has been dyed, or something like that, just to say, hey, here's a very noticeable thing to let you know some time has passed, and then you get to figure out the way the characters interact, how much time has passed. And it was just a brilliant way to set it up.
The one thing that I noticed with the passage of time was they had gray streaks in Heath Ledger's hair towards the end to signify that he had aged. Because, the guy, you can do a lot of great aging and stuff with with makeup and stuff. They didn't do a lot of that, but you're right. The cars changed, the fashion changed, and putting some gray streaks in his hair, it was just chef's kiss delicious.
You feel like you've known them for their whole lives.
Enos's clothes never really change, though, do they?
Maybe a little bit, but not significantly. Not like trendsetter fashion style.
But Jack definitely moved forward.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I don't know if it matters that much because the world around them changes as well, so...
I'm just alluding to their personality. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that just speaks more to the character. Yeah.
It definitely matters when you're comparing the characters to one another.
You could say that Innes's style really doesn't change after he meets Jack, and I think it might be because he's dwelling on that moment, bringing himself back to that, and maybe that's the filmmaker's way of showing that he's never really moved on from that moment, and that has acted as a huge cornerstone in his life that he's really just always falling back to and looking back on, and every decision he makes, it's always either trying to get over that hump or trying to forget that hump, but it keeps getting brought back to it.
Maybe. I just think it's more of he's the kind of person who doesn't change.
That was my impression as well, Chris.
I tend to agree.
He landed on a style when he was 20 years old, and that was good enough for him.
Yeah, he's a simple man, wears blue jeans and a leather jacket. He'll drive the same car till it stops working.
What did you think of Innes's character itself, though?
So I know we had two main characters, but to me, his character was the emotional, most relatable, understandable character. He was the one who really went on this crazy emotional roller coaster. I felt like we followed his character more than we followed Jack. I can't imagine what it would have been like to be a gay man in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Watching this movie makes me feel like it wasn't a good time, especially living where he was. Heath Ledger, incredible actor. Haven't seen him in much recently, but he did justice to that character. And I'm sure that there's probably a lot of gay men now in 2021 who were gay in that time who probably look back at it and go, yeah, wow, that guy did a good job, because it played the heartstrings.
I think he did a fantastic job given what we're seeing of Ennis's childhood too. So his first experience seeing what the town considered a gay couple, just these two guys living together, was their murder. And so that's his first interaction with that type of sexuality. And then you can see how that just kind of colors himself going forward. He becomes very guarded. He doesn't let anyone in. And a touch I noticed is his mouth always seemed really tight. Like he didn't want anything coming out. And I thought, oh, maybe that's just how Heath Ledger held his jaw. I don't know. So then I watched A Knight's Tale 2 days later and it was totally different. So it's just something he added to the character. I think it did come off where he's not letting anybody in, because that makes you vulnerable, especially when murder is on the line here. He did a fantastic job, and it comes through in all of this character's interactions, whereas with Jack, you don't have that, well, we don't see that same coloring of his background. He seems to be more open and accepting, and he has this dream that, yeah, we can live together on a farm, we'll work it, and it'll be great. It's this dream that he keeps trying to put on to Ennis, and I'm sure Ennis does want that, but at what cost?
In the end, Ennis was right not to go with Jack.
Yeah.
Because when Jack did what he wanted, he was beaten to death on the side of the road. But then I'm still like, just go to San Francisco. It's better there, right? That was at least a bastion back then. Also, I was talking to Shelley about this. That would mean giving up everything he knew. Like literally, he was a cowboy.
Exactly. And he never would have seen his kids again. As distant as he was with his kids, and you know that he doesn't go around much and stuff, he's still their dad. That's not an easy thing to walk away from.
Chris, you say he made the right choice, but I would argue that right or wrong isn't even necessarily the right way to say it. I would look at Jack more as like a martyr, essentially, for his cause. He was as loud and proud as he could be without, like, you know, instantly dying, but he was much more open about who he was as a person, and he didn't let society constrict him the way Ennis does, and he pays for it. But I mean,
let me rephrase that. He didn't make the right choice. In the end, his choice to remain closeted was justified, because when Jack came out in that area, he got murdered.
I really love and hate Ennis, but it's because he's so organic. He does a lot that really frustrates me, but that's because he's filled with doubt, he makes mistakes, and he's under this tremendous pressure to fulfill his obligations as a husband and a father, and also what society expects him to be. But he doesn't really want any of it, and so he's always second-guessing himself. He gets himself into a situation where he has to break the hearts of his children and his wife, and I feel so bad for them. Their reactions are so good, and the acting is so good that, like, I understand that he's trying to deal with this, and he's trying to hide it and tell himself he doesn't need it, but at the same time, there's so much collateral in his wake, and I hated Ennis for what he did to Elma, but at the same time, like, the reason why I'm hating him and frustrated with him is because he's written so well and so real as a person who has flaws and rough edges and is just trying to play things by ear and figure it as he goes. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's just trying to make the best of every situation, and he makes right decisions, he makes wrong decisions.
I think I saw him as a character who was burning the world around him, just trying to stay alive. Like, this relationship with his wife, I genuinely believe this character wanted to not be gay and wanted to convince himself that he wasn't gay.
Of course. Life would be easier, way easier.
I'm not gay. I just had sex with a dude that time. And like, I'm not gay. I just keep doing it every few months. But it's okay because I'm a straight guy. Look at me. I've got a wife. I got kids. I'm a normal dude.
I tend to agree, Craig, because when you look at how they behaved afterwards, after Brokeback Mountain, eventually Jack did go to Mexico. He did seek out those relationships, and that's nothing Ennis ever really cared to do. He had girlfriends. He had a wife. He was still able to have sex with them and obviously have 2 children with them. I don't think he saw that as part of his identity. I think it was more like, I just have this insane chemistry with this person.
Especially when you talk about how his dad was when he was a kid. And like, this isn't normal. This is a fucked up thing. Like, that's what he was taught, right? So he probably saw himself as like, I'm just a straight guy, but I'm sick.
Yeah. That's why I don't know if he would even consider it cheating, what he did, because he was engaged to Alma when he went up onto the mountain, but he had said he was a virgin. They never did anything. And then you can tell that Jack was the more experienced one out of the two of them because he initiates, he knows what to do, and Ennis's first reaction is to get violent, push him away, like, no, like, what are you doing? So I don't think it's something that ever crossed his mind before he met this person, and then it doesn't happen again with any other man.
I think he is gay, and he's doing absolutely everything he can to convince himself he's not, by being a rough and tough macho boy and living his lifestyle and just being, I guess, negligent to the, not negligent, he's just resisting the way things are because he doesn't like that. He's unhappy that this is who he is.
I agree that he is. I just don't think he wants to believe that he is.
I think he knows he is, and that's why he's trying so fucking hard to leave that behind him.
I think he's bi, probably with a female, like a female preference, but the person who has his heart, the person who he loves the most is Jack.
I'd be definitely willing to entertain that argument. You're probably closer to right than wrong.
It's a spectrum.
What did you guys think of the actual chemistry of the relationship?
I bought it. Absolutely. Those actors are so good. I would buy anything that they put on film.
I don't know, I watched The Guilty. Ugh.
What did you watch?
That new Jake Gyllenhaal one on Netflix.
The chemistry on scene between those two actors bled into the characters so well. I believe that relationship, hook, line, and sinker.
I did too.
My biggest problem with it was that I felt like there was a bit of a leap to get us into it. It really seemed abrupt when the first sexual encounter happens, like it kind of comes out of the blue. Am I just daft, or...
I felt like there was a bit of flirting a little bit between them ahead of time, you know, at the campfire and drinking and partying and whatever. But the first sexual encounter definitely felt abrupt. I didn't feel like the relationship itself was abrupt.
My son has a lot of insight into queer community, and he said his biggest issue with this is that it's all written by straight people.
Yeah, sure.
There are codes, there are ways you suss out to see if someone is in line with the way you think they are, right?
Were there when it was 1962 or whatever and they were up on the mountain though?
You would have to be exceptionally careful in 1962.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how widespread is this code, right? I'm a 19-year-old gay guy who's never had a gay experience, and I'm up on a mountain with another 19-year-old gay guy.
It's not like the falcon flies at midnight. It's just... it's not a codified thing, but there's a way of interacting, and like we're talking back, I assume, ever since homosexuality was, not accepted.
Right.
A way of like sussing out, like Jack buying that dude a drink, and the guy like instantly freaking out. I think Jack probably either he was a little too excited from his win, or is not something that you would do in 1967 in a cowboy bar.
Yeah, totally. Like that seemed to me, that scene was a little weird. I'm like, this can't be, well, it's actually not Jack's first rodeo. He's been to rodeos before. When I saw that scene, I thought, God, I feel like that's just asking for trouble. You're going to walk out to your pickup truck later and get met with a tire iron.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so a lot of that was something that my son had issue with, is straight people writing gay relationships. But he sees that a lot.
And acting them too.
That's an interesting choice, to pick two straight dudes to play your two gay guys instead of actually going out and finding gay actors in Hollywood. But that's like a very like 2015 onwards.
It was 97. That was
yeah.
In the industry, people would be like, we can't cast a gay man.
The amount of progress that happened in the LGBT plus community has happened like lightning speed in like 10 years. It's crazy how fast. And maybe this movie helped. It would be cool if it did.
This movie did the exact opposite in my little small community. This movie was called That Gay Cowboy Movie, and people would make fun of it and ridicule it without even having seen it because they knew what the content was. This is my first time watching this now in 2021, and looking back on how this was received amongst people I knew is actually disgusting to look back on and think that no one would give this a chance because it's it's gross. It's that one fag movie or whatever. And
totally. I was in high school when this came out. And it was the exact same thing. People just talking about, there's a couple of brokebacks over there. Like these fucking, no one would watch this movie. This movie definitely belongs on this list. It's an incredibly good, beautiful romance story. Yeah. And people just didn't watch it because it was a gay movie. Like, fuck off. It's so good.
What did you guys think about our boy Jack Twist?
I agree with Craig in that he was obviously more of the supporting role because the whole movie was from Ennis's viewpoint, but I do think what we saw of him was really well done, and he was such a nice opposite to the role of Ennis. Not that he was super flamboyant as a person, but and he was a little bit more open. Going back to their relationship of the two of them when they're on the mountain, like Ennis hates soup, but Jack gets sick of beans, so Ennis orders beans. Jack is sick of going out and watching the sheep. He's happy to take the role. I thought it did a really good job of building up that obviously he cares for this person that is nothing to him at that time, and he's willing to do these sacrificial things for him. Jake Gyllenhaal did a really great job with it, and it was a really, I don't know, I cried a tear at the end.
Man, fuck this guy.
No.
This guy.
What are you talking about? He did his best.
Defend
This
that
motherfucker
opinion.
goes in, knows this guy is married, fucking shoves his boy toy up against the side of the house, starts smooching for everyone to see, and his wife's right there, and he knows that, and he makes an effort to approach Ennis, knowing full fucking well what Ennis has committed himself to, being like, nah, bitch, you're mine. I don't give a fuck what I'm about to destroy. Come over here. I think if Jack...
Okay, so
I think if Jack had some fucking manners, Jack would have said, hey, I still want you. I understand what you're involved with. I want you to make a choice. I want you to come with me and we could live this great life together in Mexico or at my cabin or on the farm or wherever.
Mexico? They had no fucking choice, Jordan. That's why they did what they did.
Also, flip the script. Make it a woman who's truly in love with Innes, and Innes is in a bad marriage. Then you're not mad at her because they're meant to be together.
You got kids, you got responsibilities. You're looking after the well-being of an entire familial unit. Jack needs to understand he can propose, but Jack just can't waltz in there and be like, nah, bitch, I'm the most important one in this room.
But he didn't.
He
didn't though. He sent him a postcard and said, "Hey man, I'm gonna be in town." He writes him back. He said, "See you then," or something like that. Like if I'm sending a postcard to
You're
a
sliding
former
into a
ex
DM.
and saying, yeah, and like I send this message saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be in town next weekend," and I get a response back, "Hit me up." Well, I think we're fucking on.
Let's pretend he
Go.
doesn't know about the wife at first. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe I'm making assumptions. Maybe I'm misremembering.
He totally did.
But
He
he gets
totally did.
introduced to the wife, and he still wants to go to Pound Town at the lake. Bruh.
No, you have to understand. Jack opened up and said, "I'm going to be in town if you're interested." And Ennis wrote back, "I'm interested." So when Jack showed up, he understood that Ennis felt the same way he did.
Jack not only needs to be respectful
I gotta
of
go back to the...
Ennis and that whole situation, but the familial unit, the dependents.
No, Ennis needs to be respectful. It's not Jack's job to be respectful.
Here's whoa,
Yeah,
okay.
Totally. You just said Jack can propose a situation, and then Ennis has to respond.
No,
and
but
Jack's-
Ennis has to actually cut ties before he goes and plays hanky-panky at the lake.
It's
That's
not
the love of
Jack's
his
responsibility for Ennis to act correctly.
Someone had an affair. I think both parties, the person who is already married and the person they're sleeping with, are both naughty people.
No. Disagree.
Disagree.
If
Absolutely
I know
disagree.
someone has a husband, I'm like, I'ma fuck this motherfucker. And then I feel like that makes me a piece of shit.
She's more guilty than you are. Well, you're guilty too because you're cheating on your girlfriend. But in a situation where you're single and you're just gonna bang some guy's wife, she's more guilty than you are because she betrayed someone's trust.
She's the one who made the commitment. You have no commitment with that third person.
I am still a scumfuck bastard for going in where I shouldn't have been.
I also think it's not black and white. It's a relationship where they literally can't be together, and their only way to survive is to conform to the societal norms at the time.
Yeah, she was his beard.
It's not just like he's on fishing trips blowing everybody out there. It's like it's this one person who's the love of his life.
Even if
And
Ennis is unhappy,
he's in a miserable marriage, but what's the other option? Death.
then he can leave and then
They're both in
figure it
miserable
out.
marriages.
Yeah.
I think that he did actually love Elma.
I think he definitely cared for her.
I think he did too.
He was a fucking asshole to her.
Yeah, because we never hurt the ones we love.
No, never.
That's not part of the human condition.
Show some respect.
Jordan.
My God.
Interesting. I didn't realize you had this puritanical
Yeah, I'm actually a fucking monster. How dare people respect the sanctity of the union? I'm actually not religious at all. I just don't think you should be proposing to people who have significant others.
Sure, Ennis made a mistake. Well, yeah, but here's the thing. You can propose anything you want. It's on the other party to decide how they're going to behave. And if they misbehave, that's not your fault.
Fundamental difference. Probably not going to get over this. I also think Jack's a slimy little bugger. And I respect Jack's hustle, but I don't think he's a great human being.
Why do you think he's slimy?
Because he's a truck salesman?
I think he's a guy who's in an unhappy marriage.
He's a tractor.
Tractor.
Nobody can sell a combine like Jack.
I don't think he was slimy at all. I think he had this dream that he wanted, and it was to work on a ranch with Ennis, and that's all he wanted in life. I don't think there's anything slimy about that.
Okay, the TLDR is I think he was getting a little too involved somewhere where there was already a little bit too much involvement happening. If he wanted to schmooze Ennis, I think he should have proposed perhaps a divorce, and they could have done stuff at the ranch or whatever.
It's not his fault.
They still
of
died.
homewrecking.
1960s, man.
Jordan, they could never be together. That's exactly what happened to those two guys that Ennis saw murdered. Like, it's not like, once Ennis got...
That's what Jack wanted the whole time. Jack wanted that at the farm.
This is like the definition of star-crossed lovers.
I know, but he didn't see that. And that's what's in Ennis's mind. Every time Jack's like, we'll just work on this ranch together. And Ennis sees, like, no, we're going to get killed. So even when
so I'll end up dead in a ditch.
Yeah, even when he does get divorced, he probably wasn't to Jack like, hey, buddy, I'm divorced, get your ass down here. But Jack shows up kind of with that intention, like, I'm here, now we can be together. And he's never going to get that dream.
I don't know, man. Jack's slimy. That's just the way it goes.
Jack was a beautiful character. Jack was a beautifully emotional character. He was very incredibly relatable.
He was great.
He had this great big open heart. I think he even loved his wife. I think his greatest moment in the entire film was when his father-in-law was giving him attitude at his house and trying to take control of his house, and he was just like, sit down and shut up, old man. You're a guest in my house and we're going to do it my way here.
Mm-hmm. That was very alpha.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
Just to be clear, I think Jack is a great character, and I think he's a real character, and I really like the way he was written. The fact that I think he is slimy and think does nefarious things is a testament to how akin this is to real life.
Do you actually mean the word nefarious? Because, like,
No.
this
Sneak
character is
Jordan.
not nefarious.
It sneaks and it skulks.
So here's a question for you. Did Jack what was Jack's wife's name?
Lorraine.
Did Jack and Luann have an understanding?
I don't know.
My impression is that they did, that she was going to run, like, keep the house under control. She'll work with him at the tractor business, and he can go on his wink fishing trips.
That actually leads to him being less nefarious, because he could assume that Innes and Elma had the same agreement.
Or at least he didn't understand the complexity of what Ennis was going through. He didn't fully understand why Ennis couldn't just up and leave.
Yeah.
There was a lot of, you're familiar with the term beard?
Yeah.
Where you'd either have two homosexuals, a man and a woman, who were married, they were a couple. For all intents and purposes, they were heterosexual, but they referred to the woman as, like, his beard, because she was a cover. She was a smokescreen.
Oh, interesting.
Have you not heard that?
I didn't know that was a term. I didn't know there was a term for it. But now that I know that, I absolutely believe that's what Jack's wife was. And I think she knew it too. She was like, yeah, my husband's gay, but you know what? Fuck it. I got a good life. I'm pretty wealthy, living in the South. I got the run of this whole tractor dealership. I'm a big shot. So whatever. So he wants to go on fishing trips with his boy. Who cares?
Do you guys have any points in the film that you'd like to discuss that we haven't talked about already?
The third character, just the scenery.
Oh, yeah. Gorgeous.
Oh my God, what a beautiful place to shoot.
Fucking Alberta, looking real clean.
That's right. Yeah, nice.
You only think it's nice because you can't smell Alberta.
It smells nice.
Alberta, that entire province smells like shit.
No, it does not.
I went to Alberta for 2 weeks. Whole place stinks. Sorry, Albertans. No flame, but you got a lot of cows there.
Were you on a cattle farm?
The whole province is a cattle farm.
Oh my God. I didn't smell anything.
I don't think Banff and Whistler's is BC, right?
Whistler's in BC.
But Banff is...
Banff is the Holy Land. It is exempt from all impurities of this world.
Canmore, Banff, yeah, they're...
They don't smell like cow shit, Sarah?
No.
Can you confirm? Okay.
One scene I wanted to talk about was, like, based on the scenery, is when they went to the mountain for the final time that they were together, and they kind of laid their cards out on the table, and just the way that Heath Ledger was low, Jake Gyllenhaal was kind of high, and then just in the background was that mountain. It was gorgeous, just all the different levels to it. And then even the dialogue within that scene was insane, where they talk about how Jack came out and said, like, I've been going to Mexico, and that's something that really pissed Heath Ledger off, because he's like, sure, I've been sleeping with women, but now you're going with other men. That seemed to be a real game changer in their relationship.
Yeah, that was interesting.
My favorite scene that spoke most emotionally to me was when Ennis he was crossing the road and this car almost hit him, and the guy's like honking at him, like telling him to get the fuck out of the road, and Ennis punches him through the window and starts this fight in the middle of the street. And it was this big self-destructive moment that, to me, it just felt like this guy hates part of himself so much. He's so fucking self-destructive that he just I genuinely think he just wanted to get the shit kicked out of him, so that his physical pain could match his emotional pain.
He just wants to feel something.
It was so real, so beautiful. I have friends that are so self-destructive, and it's the same kind of thing that I could see them doing. Starting a fight they know they will lose just because of the mental state they're in.
I don't have to know whether I'll win or lose a fight, because I just assume I'll lose all of them. The one moment in the movie I thought was quite funny was how we're supposed to think of the guy who owns the sheep operation as a bad guy, but he set out his terms and conditions at the beginning, and neither of our main characters followed any of the rules, and they're fucking around and doing whatever they want, and then they're upset that they can't get hired the next year. I just thought that was funny. Like, what do you mean you won't hire me? You don't need help? Like, bro, all you did was fucking go to Pound Town on the mountain and let the wolves eat my sheep. What the fuck do you think is gonna happen?
Exactly. I think that's why I think that guy is actually kind of low-key a hero, like the 1960s version of an ally. He recognizes these two guys are gay and doesn't just out them. He doesn't just tell every other cowboy, oh, don't fucking work with that butt fucker. Like, they show up and he says, I don't want to hire you. Last time I hired you, 18 of my sheep got killed. Get the fuck out of here.
There was a lot of bleeding and 2 bleeding hearts.
Hey!
I don't even know what the fuck that means.
Okay, I said this when we watched the movie. I said, why does sheep bleat? They go bah.
Oh, bleat. I thought you said bleeding. I'm like, what the?
That's the play.
Had to be there jokes don't work on a podcast.
Wasn't a had to be there joke until Chris was like, what?
Enunciate your T's.
I got it, Jordan.
Give me a second. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. The shirt. Come on. The shirt.
Oh, yeah, that was beautiful.
I cried.
Oh, that was so good. Yep. Yeah, because he's like, I can't believe I left my shirt on the mountain. And I'm like, I don't know if it was a memory or I'm like, that's because
I forgot.
And then at the end, he finds it in his closet. I'm like, oh.
And he's still got them. Ennis has both of them at the end, and he has them hung up under a picture of Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah. Oof, good. And the parents Jack's parents seem to be pretty understanding. Like they seem to be in the know.
At least the mom did. The dad seemed a little...
He just looked like he was making the best of a situation he thought he was unfortunately stuck in, but the mom was very well-to-do.
Yeah, but again, like that generation, not like disowning your son, that's the best you're gonna get.
I had a little bit of a busy weekend, so I didn't get a chance to go back and re-listen to the soundtrack, but I don't think there was a lot of memorable pieces. Did you guys enjoy the soundtrack?
I don't remember it knocking my socks off or anything.
Just that theme song.
I think it did its job.
Yeah.
It definitely set mood, but there was no, how do you kids say it? Bangers.
It's lit, fam.
No Slumdog.
This ain't gonna get on the TikToks.
The soundtrack was no Ghostbusters.
Mason wants me to start doing TikToks.
Yeah, do it.
You should definitely start doing TikToks. So if you're following along with the YouTube video, you can check out a list of all the movies we've seen so far and where we've placed them in a ranking. So we're going to rank this film amongst the films we have seen so far. But considering this is the 25th episode and a lot of us felt a little bit unhappy with where we had put some stuff early on our list, we're going to rekajigger things a little bit. Just because we were dumb once doesn't mean we need to be dumb forever. And so, Sarah, can you tell me a little bit about how you've moved your list around and where you're going to put Brokeback Mountain amongst the films we've seen so far?
So movement was basically just in my top 10, and I thought more of movies that stayed with me or ones that I thought back to more often than I think I originally thought I would. 12 Angry Men is still my number one, but I've switched On the Waterfront up to number 2 and moved Memento down to number 3. Dr. Zhivago I've brought up to my 4th position, and it was originally 10th.
Wow. Okay. Whoa. Take me back. Why is Dr. Zhivago all of a sudden a chart-topping hit?
Yeah, I really liked it, and it's things where now
You didn't like it Once Upon a Time. What changed?
I did, but it just kept moving down my list, and I think I didn't put enough value in it. I do now. I was just watching something, and it took place in Russia, and they were just showing this train going by with all the snow, and I was like, Dr. Zhivago, like, it's everywhere. So yeah, I've moved it up to number 4 from 10, because I thought, in the grand scheme of things, my 4th was Return of the King. I like Dr. Zhivago better, so I bumped that down. Then everything else kind of shifted up, and my other big changer, I guess, would be moving Amadeus up a spot.
Yes. Oh my god. You can't ridicule Chris for 4 episodes about Amadeus and then bump it up. Fuck off.
It was below Inception. I liked it better than Inception, so I moved it up.
Okay. You're letting him get into your head. You're letting Chris whisper, Amadeus is good. It's good, guys, I promise. And you're like...
This is like the One Ring is whispering to you.
That being said, after watching Brokeback Mountain, I'm going to relegate Amadeus to my 11th spot, and I'll put Brokeback Mountain in 10th. And then that means Inception is moving from my 9th place to my 12th. And that's all my movement.
I made some major movements here. The first one worth mentioning is I moved Memento up to number 2 from number 3, which puts my top 3 at 12 Angry Men, Memento, and On the Waterfront.
Big move. 1 spot.
It's significant because On the Waterfront was at one point my number 1 movie.
But you're starting to see, when we do the 50 reshuffle, you'll put it where it belongs.
The second major move worth noting is Dr. Zhivago, which somehow, through the process of watching and ranking films, had got pushed down all the way to number 16, which is an absolute travesty.
Chris and I were right the first time.
So I've moved it up where it belongs, up to number 6.
That's not where it belongs, but it's better.
It is an excellent movie. It would have probably been closer to 10th, but I recently learned a little bit about the Russian Communist Revolution. I'm not going to go into great lengths of detail here, but one thing that I realized was symbolism that I hadn't noticed before was when the main character is relegated to Siberia, where he's moved out to the family cabin. That was something they did to a lot of the bourgeoisie after the revolution. And it's something that Lenin had experienced after being exiled from his own country, forced to watch the actions of Russia from afar, sitting in his study writing papers on it, and that's all he had the power to do was write. And that's what we saw our main character deal with.
Lenin or Trotsky?
Both of them.
Okay.
So after learning that, and learning that this was kind of a mirror image of what had happened during the revolution and prior to the revolution, I thought, my God, was that ever excellent writing. So I had to bump it up on the list significantly. And the last major move worth noting is that Slumdog Millionaire tumbled all the way down to number 17.
Is that because I won't shut up about how good the music is? And you're doing that to spite me?
Actually, I looked at it as...
It pleases me that you move things similar to where I have them. Both of you have.
Yeah, you're just aligning yours to Chris and I's excellent taste.
The reason that I moved it where I moved it is I ranked it based on the other major romances on this list and where it fell in kind of in sections. So now that we're talking about romances, we should talk about Brokeback Mountain, which is the best romance we've seen so far on this list. I've put it as number 7. I must be a romantic guy because I've got Brokeback Mountain, Wall-E, and Beauty and the Beast bang, bang, bang right by each other, all pretty high up on the list. But Brokeback Mountain, although it's a tragedy and a very sad story, is the best romance we've seen so far.
I think the ending helps with that. That little bit of a sting gives you this bittersweet kind of, I don't know, you enjoyed the movie and you love seeing the journey and you're excited about it, but it ends in just such an, I don't know, a sad way. It has a way of sticking with you. I'm going to let you guys know what I have done. My biggest move is Reservoir Dogs from spot 18 to 7.
Wow.
Whoa, making moves.
A big part of how I rearranged these was now rewatchability and staying power. And Reservoir Dogs is a movie I think I would watch again. And there's not a ton of films that I think are like infinitely rewatchable or very rewatchable, but I think Reservoir Dogs is. Like, I would love to go back and see some of those performances again, and I might even rewatch it before the year is over. I think I was just being a little baby. It got bumped down unfairly because some other things I thought were good at the time but didn't have a lot of staying power like Reservoir does. Some other small moves. Bonnie and Clyde is moving up 2 spots. I think it's fun. I remember it. Faye Dunaway is really fucking hot too, and so that deserves at least 11th place. Airplane is going up 2 spots because that movie's fucking funny, Sarah. Got the best jokes of all of these.
Better than Ghostbusters.
Moving up to 14. And I'm kicking Die Hard down 5 spots. That movie was exciting at the time, fun to watch, but had nothing that really stuck with me. It was too generic. And as a result, I am going to place Brokeback Mountain at spot 12, under Bonnie and Clyde and above Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's a great film. I'm not a romantic film connoisseur. It's not my favorite genre. I definitely think it's a great movie, but unfortunately, just given my taste, it's gonna have a hard time competing with some of the more action-oriented films we've seen so far.
So I know what you think I'm going to say, but you're wrong, because just listening to you guys talk, I did actually make one move.
Amadeus is number 1.
I actually did know that you were going to move something, and it was because I know how convincing I am.
So what I did, just so while we were listening and just I was reflecting on your words of wisdom, I put Die Hard down in spot 18. So that moves it down 4 spots. So it puts Pan's Labyrinth higher, Airplane, and Beauty and the Beast. I just don't listen to you guys. Still better than Slumdog, way better than Braveheart. But so that's the actual move I made. Even though even up to an hour ago I was like, Jordan, I have impeccable taste and I know exactly where it was. And my list is perfect. It had one change.
John McClane gets the best of all of us. Bamboozled his way too high on the list. Alan Rickman does such a good job in this movie, but it's not enough to carry it. He's good. The rest of it's meh.
Yeah, you got one great character who's an all-right villain.
He did okay with what he was given.
All right, Chris, where are you going to put it?
Brokeback Mountain, I'm put at position number 7. So below Reservoir Dogs, but better than Inception.
I'm pretty sure I'm still hearing that siren, by the way.
Close your window.
Don't tell me what to do. I'm gonna close my window because I want to, not because you told me what to do.
I fucking hate when I am listening to music in the car and some dumbass music producer thinks it's okay to put a fucking siren in it, and I pull over to the side of the road like a moron, and there's fucking nothing there.
Like, fuck this guy.
Jen loves this stupid fucking song. Jen, what's it called? Oh my god. It's called like Hit and Run or something, and like there's a fucking siren in it. No, it's K-pop. It's Girls' Generation. And I fucking panic every time I hear it.
Oh, paparazzi.
Paparazzi.
No, I beat up a guy, pulled him right out of his Pinto, and
then he kicked the shit out of you.
No, I won. He was just a little guy. Okay, it was an old lady.
And she still kicked the shit out of you.
I thought she honked at me, but it was just in the song.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
What the fuck's your problem? Meanwhile, the stereo's still going and he hears the honk. He's like, never mind, my bad. It's on me.
Chris, what are we going to be watching in episode 26 of Popcorn Peeps?
Episode 26, we'll be watching 1957's Bridge on the River Kwai. And there's no place you can stream it for free except for CTV, and that has ads, so don't do that. You can come to the Manor. I'm pretty sure we have it on DVD, and that's how we'll be watching it.
Can you rent it on YouTube?
Yes, you can rent it on a whole bunch of places. Like, yeah, literally all of our subscribers could come to the Manor.
Hey, there's 52 of them now. Careful what you say.
Oh, sorry, Patreon, not.
I would like to extend a special thank you to our supporters on patreon.com. If you would like to support the show, check out the link at the top of the YouTube description or on popcornpeeps.com. But special thank you to Travis Laporte, Jim Wamsley, Ryan Saranen, Frank Costa, Sarah Renier, Erica Wilson, Tyler Laporte, and Ask McButtface.
Nice.
Thank you so much for your contribution to our cause. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.